I'm an 18-year-old girl living alone in my apartment with my small dog. My place is about 8 miles out of town, which makes getting food delivered a bit tricky sometimes. Still, I never thought much of using Uber Eats. Sure, you hear strange stories online, but you never expect them to happen to you. At least, that's what I thought. It was a Friday evening, and I was cleaning my apartment, getting ready for my boyfriend to visit. We're in a long-distance relationship, and weekends are the only time we get to see each other. I like to keep the place tidy for him, so I'd already been cleaning for a couple of hours when I realized it was past 6 p.m. and I hadn't eaten anything. The kitchen was spotless, and I didn't want to dirty any dishes, so I decided to order food. I placed an order through Uber Eats and got a notification that my driver was on his way in a white Honda Fit Sport. I always set my delivery preferences to leave at door contactless delivery. As a young woman living alone, I'm cautious like that. I was sitting in the living room watching TV when I received the notification, "Your food has been delivered." I jumped up, starving, but when I opened the door, my food wasn't there. I checked the hallway. Maybe the driver dropped it off at the wrong door, but none of the neighboring apartments had a delivery bag either. I turned back to message the driver when there was a knock at my door. It was my next door neighbor. He was holding my food. He said, "Hey, I picked this up from your delivery guy because he was looking through your windows." I wasn't sure what he was doing. I thanked him, my heart skipping. What the hell? I took my food, went back inside, and tried to shake it off. I ate dinner and watched a movie, trying to calm down. Later that night, I showered, turned off the TV, and double-checked all the locks before heading to bed. I called my boyfriend and eventually drifted off to sleep. But a few hours later, I woke up to my dog growling at the window. He's a tiny Maltese, barely 5 pounds, but the way he growled made me sit up straight. It wasn't a random bark. It was like he sensed something. I calmed him down and got him to sleep beside me. 15 minutes later, a loud banging rattled my bedroom window. My dog went wild, barking, growling, even whimpering. I froze in bed. My body wouldn't move. I pulled the blanket over my face, leaving just enough room to see the window. Then I reached for my phone and whispered a 911 call. I told the dispatcher someone was in my backyard, that my bedroom window didn't lock properly. She told me to go to another room and stay quiet. Police were already en route. I ran into the kitchen and grabbed a knife, heart pounding, and waited. I peered out the kitchen window, and what I saw made my stomach drop. That same white Honda Fit, the Uber driver's car, was parked across the street. There's a large open field next to my apartment where people sometimes walk their dogs or park trailers. He was just sitting there, but I didn't see anyone in the car. That's when I realized he was in my backyard. It felt like forever before the police arrived. When they did, I was crying and shaking so hard I could barely explain myself. One officer checked my backyard while the other checked the car, but the car was empty. Then both officers returned and started talking quietly with the one taking my statement. "There are fresh footprints in the backyard," one of them said. "The mud's deep. Definitely human." I panicked, not just because someone had been there, but because now he was gone. Where the hell was he? My neighbor came outside to see what was going on. After learning everything, he offered to let me crash at his place. I declined. I just wanted to believe this nightmare was over. I stayed up for a while, clutching the knife. I finally managed to fall asleep sometime after 1 a.m. Then, at 2 a.m., a loud pounding hit my front door. I panicked, then heard police. It was the same female officer from earlier. She explained they'd kept watch on my apartment in case the man returned. He did. They caught him walking up to my front door, clearly planning something. They arrested him. "He won't be bothering you again," she said. I thanked her with tears in my eyes and didn't sleep at all that night. To this day, I have no idea what would have happened if my neighbor hadn't intercepted the food, if I hadn't called the police, if they hadn't returned to stake out the place. I never used Uber Eats again when I was home alone, and I never will. If this story chilled you, subscribe to Fear and Tale for more true encounters. thrillers and psychological horrors. I was 26 at the time and a male. I was visiting Washington, D.C. on a kind of vacation to see my then fiancée, let's call her Sarah. She was about to graduate from basic training, which was a big deal for her and her family. She asked me to be there for the ceremony, so I booked a flight and flew in about a week before her family was due to arrive. That way, we'd have some alone time before all the family obligations kicked in. Sarah stayed with me at my hotel during that week. One day, we decided to explore some of the historical landmarks around the city. I had never been to DC before, so visiting sites like the Lincoln Memorial, the Washington Monument, the Capitol Building, and even the White House sounded exciting. I had missed out on a high school trip to DC, so this was kind of making up for that. We spent about 4 hours walking around the National Mall, completely engrossed in sightseeing. It was fun, more fun than I expected, honestly. Sarah appreciated how into it I was, and we both felt like we were really making the most of our time together. After all that walking, we were exhausted. We pulled out Sarah's phone and ordered an Uber back to the hotel. We had used the app earlier in the day with no issues, so we didn't think twice about doing it again. Sarah handled the app while I found some shade and sat down, my legs aching from the walking. 10 minutes later, a gray minivan pulled up to the curb. Sarah pointed at it and motioned for me to follow. It wasn't a proper parking spot, so it seemed like it had to be our ride. She opened the rear door and asked Uber for Sarah. The man behind the wheel gave a slight nod. He didn't speak, just nodded. That was the first red flag. But I was tired and honestly didn't think much of it. Sarah climbed in, so I followed her and closed the door behind me. Now, looking back, I can't believe how careless we were. Neither of us verified the car's license plate. We didn't ask the driver's name. I didn't even have the app open on my phone because Sarah had booked it. We just got in. Just like that, we both sat in the back seat. The driver said nothing, not even a hello. No confirmation of the ride, nothing, just silence. Most Uber drivers at least make some small talk or greet you, but this man acted like we didn't exist. He pulled away from the curb and started driving. I noticed it was oddly quiet, but I was so worn out, I just leaned back, closed my eyes, and let myself relax. A few minutes later, Sarah tapped my arm. I opened my eyes and looked at her. She didn't say anything, just looked very concerned. Then she held up her phone. It showed the Uber route. We were going the wrong way. Not just slightly off route, completely in the opposite direction from the hotel. Then, as if time to make my heart drop, her phone lit up with a notification. Your Uber has arrived, followed by a message from the driver. Asterisk, where are you? Asterisk, my stomach dropped. We were in the wrong car. The picture of the actual Uber driver didn't match the man driving. We were with someone else, someone who pretended to be our driver. I didn't say anything right away. I was frozen in that moment, trying to figure out what to do. I looked at the driver in the rearview mirror. He didn't look back. He just kept driving. I leaned forward a little and said as calmly as I could, "Hey, we changed our mind. You can let us out here." No answer. He didn't even flinch, just kept driving. At that point, my adrenaline kicked in. My brain screamed, "This man is taking you somewhere you don't want to go." I reached into my pocket and pulled out my pocket knife. I flipped the blade open and held it firmly in my hand. Then I leaned forward again and said, "Listen, I know you're not our Uber driver. I don't know what your plan is or what you think you're about to do to us, but I have a knife. And if you don't pull this car over right now, I swear to God, I will use it." That got his attention. He looked at me in the mirror, this long, cold stare, and then finally, he pulled the van over. We heard the doors unlock. Without saying a word, Sarah and I threw the doors open and bolted out of the car. The guy sped off. We stood there, catching our breath. Sarah was starting to panic. Her breathing was shallow and fast, and I could tell she was about to lose it. I was still holding the knife, trying to steady my hands. She quickly messaged our real Uber driver, who thankfully was still nearby. He picked us up within minutes. This time, we verified the license plate, the driver, everything. We got in and told him what had just happened. He was horrified, but unfortunately not surprised. He told us that recently there had been several incidents of people posing as Uber drivers, and DC. They target tourists, especially couples, or individuals waiting in less crowded areas. He said people had gone missing, and some were still unaccounted for. Police suspected these fake drivers were part of something much darker that chilled me to the bone. Had we not noticed the route, had Sarah not tapped my arm, had I not brought my knife, we might not have made it back at all. We returned to our hotel, still shaken, and immediately filed a report with the police. We gave them the best description we could of the fake driver, the van, and the whole encounter. They told us they'd follow up if they learned anything. We never heard back to this day. I don't know who that man was or what his real plan was. All I know is that he wasn't just pretending to be a driver for fun. He had a goal, and we were nearly victims. Looking back, it was such a stupid mistake. We should have checked the plate. We should have asked for the driver's name. We were too trusting. Too tired. Please, if you're listening to this, always verify your rides. Ask for their name. Check the license plate. Don't assume. Don't trust a nod. That split second of attention might be the only thing standing between you and a horror story of your own. Always verify your driver. Always check the car. Don't make the same mistake we did, because next time someone might not be so lucky. If you want more true horror stories like this one, make sure to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss what's hiding in plain sight. This is Fear and Tale, and the fear is real.